Today we'll look at the best weapons for the new update in the finals based on my 300 hours of scrims, tournaments and ranked matches competing with and against best players in the world. We'll also look at the data for every weapon and compare it with the previous patch to see the dynamic. Let's get started. I'm recording this video on the 18th of January, one day after the patch, and we are experiencing random recoil patterns for weapons. This is a spaghetti code bug, and chances are, if you are watching this video later on, developers already fixed this problem. Starting off with heavy weapons, and Lewis gun takes an absolute S tier spot. It is a great weapon in solo heavy compositions with heavy medium light or heavy medium medium, as you are not forcing your healing beam medium to play close to your opponents. If you were to run shotgun, for example, this weapon is amazing due to nice recoil pattern, great damage drop off, and ability to help your mediums stacking up the damage and killing squishes from the distance. You are still great up close, you will still win a lot of duels against mediums and lights up close. The only problem is double heavy setup where two guys are running at you with shotguns, but if you are just a ranked player, chances are you won't be able to see that often, as people would play mediums a lot more from now. This weapon has not received any nerfs or buffs and still stays absolute meta for the heavy class. Heavy shotgun got an interesting shadow buff in a patch 1.5, where now it feels like you have a similar fire rate whether you are holding your left mouse button or clicking it as fast as possible. Before, clicking was a little bit slower, it feels like. Heavy shotgun is an absolute S tier weapon. Unfortunately, you only want to use it in double heavy compositions, as you are forcing yourself and your support players in very uncomfortable situations. You're gonna get gas mined a lot, you're gonna get RPG'd, C4'd, and overall it's not as comfortable as playing with a heavy that's holding a Lewis gun and keeping the distance between you and enemies. It's interesting, but M60, especially after the buff, feels incredibly nice to play. We are still experiencing the recoil bug, and I can't reliably tell you if it's a nice gun or not, but from what I've seen and from the damage you can actually deal with this weapon, I feel like it is at least A tier spot. I still feel like Lewis gun is better due to better damage range, but when we talk about bursting bubbles, when we talk about bursting shields and being as deadly as possible, getting multiple kills with your mag, M60 is an absolute beast. And if you would look at data, 22 damage per bullet actually gives you better damage per magazine, better damage per second, faster time to kill, and better DPS with reload, making this weapon an absolutely amazing choice. When we talk about weapons from the meta standpoint, Sledgehammer takes the D tier spot. It's incredibly difficult in the current state of the game to utilize this weapon, because people would just never allow you to close the distance on them, and if you were to try that using your shield, mesh, RPG and C4s, you will quickly realize that there is not gonna be any counterplay after they burn through everything. Your mesh shield is 1000 HP, your dome is 300, and it's gonna take about 4 AK mags in order to completely deplete you out of your resources. And what are you gonna do after? I can only imagine. What are you gonna do if you kill the heavy player and then medium player instantly jumps and defeats him, and now you are in a situation in the middle of nowhere because you are forcing yourself to get close, crying for help, your mediums are out of position without any support from you, and overall it's just a very unreliable weapon. D tier. In my personal opinion, heavy Junkrat weapon takes the C tier spot. It's not as awful as a Sledgehammer, as you can still spam it from the safe distance, you can still stall the cash out and buy some time for your team, but then again, you want to go in, reliably take a 1 versus 1 against medium and light, kill them or punish the heavy for being out of position and quickly go back to natural cover behind the shield, behind the bubble, and stay safe and stay alive for as long as possible. With this weapon, the downtime is just way too much. You shoot 2 projectile bullets and you find yourself in a situation when you have to reload for 2.5 seconds and it's all very unreliable. And then you compare it with the heavy shotgun that you can shoot for infinite amount of time without reloading and still have insane value and damage per second per mag, and you start questioning your weapon choices. C tier for now. Flamethrower takes a C tier spot above the Junkrat weapon. I received a very interesting comment a few hours ago saying that I'm sleeping hard on a flamethrower. The value does not come from having more DPS than a shoddy, it comes from its utility and the fact that you can damage multiple people at once. I'm sure that this guy gets a lot of success in bronze and silver ranked lobbies because there is no skill-based matchmaking, but when I'm playing scrims and tournaments against best players in the world, the second I take my shield down, I'm being completely devoured alive. And if you'd look at time to kill for Flamethrower, you will quickly realize that even bronze players, if they would have 4 seconds against you, would actually kill you, because not only you would have to spend 4 seconds actively pressing your left click on a flamethrower, it means that you won't be able to protect yourself with dome and shield, you won't be able to go behind natural cover in between shots like you would with a shotgun, and overall it's just a complete disaster. C tier for now. Moving on to medium category, and SCAR takes an absolute S tier spot. One of the best weapons if you are into aim training, if you have extraordinary aim. You take recon senses on medium, pair it up with hundreds of hours you spend practicing your aim, and you become an unstoppable force, and this combo has the highest solo carry potential in the game. Right now, you just destroy invisible lights in a blink of a second, you absolutely devour mediums that are not even aware that you are on the flank. But when you play SCAR with the healing beam, you are forced to play behind your heavy, and when you do that, the first person you will see is the enemy heavy, and not only you won't be able to reliably one-clip enemy heavies, but they also have mesh shields, they also have bubbles, and if you spend 20 of your bullets, you will have a lot of downtime between you reloading, pulling out your healing beam to heal a teammate, and then switching back, and it's all very ugly. You won't be able to take any duels because as a heal beam, you really want to keep your teammates alive, and if you shoot, you can't keep them alive. Simple as that. So, general rule of the thumb, if you are playing with recon senses, you go SCAR. If you are playing healing beam, you go AK. AK is gonna be another extraordinary choice for you, especially if you are playing healing beam. You will have higher time to kill, meaning that it will take you longer to kill your opponents, but in return you get the ability to burst mesh shields and bubbles of enemy heavies, and you have the ability to apply constant pressure while switching back and forth between your gun and your healing. This is exceptionally important as you want to stay behind your heavy and help him directly or indirectly. Amazing weapon, absolute S tier. I would place medium revolver at the B tier because of how unreliable the gun feels and how little ammo you get for the value out of each bullet. Every single time I'm playing revolver, even though it seems like my iron sight is right on a person, somehow I still miss my bullets, whether it's a skill issue or the iron sight is a little bit off or we are still experiencing a bug, but I don't find this weapon exceptionally good because you shoot your 6 bullets and there is a lot of downtime. You are not as consistent as you would be with SCAR or AK, and overall it's just a worse option. Like, your other weapons can do whatever you can do on revolver, but better and even more. B tier for now. I would place medium shotgun in A tier category because of how fun and interesting this weapon feels like to play. And even though sometimes it's inconsistent and there is a lot of downtime between you shooting and reloading, there are so much joy when you are triple shooting, or excuse me, killing the heavy with 3 bullets. It is just incredibly nice and warms my heart. You absolutely destroy light players, and a lot of people are so unaware. A lot of people are sleeping on this one, but medium shotgun is actually a very nice, fun and reliable option for you. It will take some time to learn the pattern, it will take some time to get accurate with it, but when you do, holy, the possibilities are endless. Amazing weapon, would highly recommend you as a fun substitute to SCAR and AK. Riot Shield is gonna be the D-tier weapon for now, simply because you cannot reliably apply pressure to enemy players, you cannot scare them off from positions of power and high grounds, you cannot duel anyone reliably, because every single time you would force yourself to get close to enemies, you will be met with mines, nades, shotguns, people that don't miss bullets, and overall it's just a very unfun experience. You can absolutely make this work in public, and I personally played one game with Riot Shield and it was super fun. But in reality, it is I don't know why people are considering melee weapons as something that can compete with ranged weapons. You would need to have superpowers in order to be on the same level, it feels like. So yeah, Riot Shield definitely not a great option right now. Medium Junkrat weapon is gonna surprise you a little bit, but I'm gonna place it above the revolver. Not only you are not forcing yourself in a direct 1 versus 1 duel and can spam behind cover, but this weapon is really nice when you are trying to steal or defend the cash out, especially on certain maps with closed quarters. I would say that this is gonna be an amazing weapon on Monaco, as you have a lot of buildings. It's gonna be nice on certain points of Las Vegas, it's gonna be nice on certain points on Skyway Stadium, and overall it's a decent option. It actually has decent damage for 4 bullets that you get, and even though you can deplete your mag pretty quickly, you can shoot after you put 1 bullet in the gun, you know? So the weapon is actually pretty nice. It's pretty reliable though, I gotta try it a lot more in ranked. Alright, moving on to light class weapons, and double barrel got gutted so hard if you compare it with previous update. It's actually crazy. It went from being an absolute devourer of heavies to please mommy tuck me in, and it went from being 0.3 seconds to destroy a heavy player to 3 seconds to destroy the heavy, and it's actually freaking crazy. You can still make it work, as you can 1-tap lights and 2-tap mediums, but it is certainly way freaking worse than it was before, especially if you pair it up with invisibility nerfs and stun gun nerfs. Like, light class was already the weakest one, and developers decided to nerf it a lot more instead of giving it a direct buff with buffs or indirect buffs with nerfing light, or excuse me, with nerfing medium and heavy. Very interesting choice. Let's see how it will turn out to be. It's still an A-tier weapon, but I don't know, this is a tragedy. I would actually place throwing knives at the B tier. It is an amazing weapon on paper, but when you look at the real life examples, you realize that not only it's incredibly difficult to hit players with it because of random projectile pattern, it feels like every single time I throw them something goes wrong. It's not as hit scanish as I would want it to be, but also there is a lot of downtime and you are forcing yourself to juke in the open in the middle of nowhere, and all of that does not contribute for the weapon to be consistent and the weapon to be good. You can still absolutely make it work with like right clicks and left clicks, but I wouldn't bet on that. The time to kill is a lot worse than it is on M11 or MP5, and it's not as reliable as a double barrel. Still B tier for now. Light sword goes in a C tier. It feels like it has the same problem with every single melee weapon, except that you are 150 HP cockroach that gets deleted from existence with everything that moves and breathes. And the problem is that there is no counterplay for that. You don't get any cool superpowers, you cannot one-tap enemies, and you still have to juke. I would say that with light, the dash plus vanishing bomb build has to be the most optimal, but then again, you won't be able to have any success with rapier if you are playing ranked tournaments. This is strictly casual weapon, and it is absolutely fine. Unfortunately, this is not meta by any means. I feel like Dagger is just a sword but from AliExpress, and it takes the D tier category. Not only you don't have any additional movement that sword gives you, but also you are very reliant on heavy players to be absolutely clueless and unaware when you are coming behind them and trying to go for the one-tap combination with right click plus melee. Unfortunately, it's never going to happen. Dagger is just terrible weapon. I genuinely believe that sniper rifle has no time and place in this game, and it takes the D tier. It's terrible for pretty much every single map outside of Duck and Cover Monaco, where you can go on a crane and pew unaware people in casuals, while in reality majority of the cash outs are going to be in closed environments, and you would have to go for full 420 MLG no scope playstyle in order to get any value, given the fact that you are 150 HP light player that dies from everything. It makes it a lot more difficult to go for a playstyle like this. I feel like they should delete sniper rifle because the finals is not a game for it. You don't have long sights, and even if you do, there is mesh shield, there is bubble, and overall it's just not the game for the sniper rifle to be in as a concept. D tier. I actually have a strong burning desire to place M11 at the bottom of S tier for light class, especially after they changed the recoil pattern. We are still experiencing a bug with Spaghetti Quote where half of your bullets are not hitting the center of your iron sight, but even then, I'm looking at my clips and time to kill on this weapon is insane. Like, the damage that you can deal with it is actually freaking crazy. I'm not gonna lie. This feels like this feels so much better than MP5. I don't know how to explain that. It's an absolutely my favorite gun to play. I cannot wait for them to fix the game so I can try it. Actually, maybe this is gonna be the new meta for light class. Incredibly slept on, amazing weapon. Like, wow, 10 out of 10 experience. MP5 still takes an absolute S tier spot for the light class, especially with invisibility nerfs and stun gun nerfs. You are very much reliant on poking enemies from far, because every single time you would want to get close, you're gonna get absolutely obliterated by scars, AKs, heavy shotgun or a Lewis gun. So in order to counterplay that, you want to keep a little bit of distance, you want to poke, go behind natural cover, reload, get into invisibility and approach from different angle. Unfortunately, even though M11 is a better option when it comes to time to kill and DPS, MP5 gives you better range of options. So it is an absolute S tier for that reason. Light pistol is a very solid choice for today's day and age. I wouldn't say it's better than double barrel, but certainly can compete with it, because again, you are not forcing yourself to be up close to enemies. Unfortunately, it's not as reliable as M11 or MP5, but still an amazing option. And last weapon for today is gonna be LH1, and I'm gonna place it at top of the B tier above throwing knives. Even though this weapon was absolutely amazing in open beta and got buffed multiple times after the release, you realize that it still has horrible visual recoil, as well as it is completely unreliable. You are so reliant at hitting headshots that you force yourself in very uncomfortable situations and scenarios. Not only that, but this is a mid to long range weapon, and you will lose duels against mediums and heavies at long range, and if you want to get close, you would have less value if you were to be using MP5, M11, double barrel, or a pistol. It's a decent weapon, but there are better options on the market. So this is gonna be it for today's tier list. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about it. See you in the next one. Take care.